Today, I'm going to share with you a couple of ways to draw and paint without paint some snow globes. You're going to need some markers, a permanent marker, some construction paper, scissors, glue, and crayons. All right, once you got those things, a couple other things I have for you. You can go to my blog and print out a couple of idea sheets for your snow globe. If you can't print them out, I've got them right here for us to take a look at. I'm going to follow the steps on the Let's Draw a Snow Globe sheet. So I'm going to begin by drawing a simple house. I made a straight vertical line that went down, and now I'm making another one. If you're going to draw with me, make sure you're using a permanent marker, and if I go too fast, just hit the pause button. Across the top, I'm going to make a horizontal line, and then I'll do the very same thing at the bottom. Your square might be bigger than mine, it might be smaller, it might even be a rectangle, and that is okay. Let's keep going. I made a slanted or a diagonal line at the top, and then I brought it down to the bottom to make a triangle for the roof. Now let's make a door. I'm going to use a rectangle shape. I made 2 vertical lines going down, and then I'll make a short horizontal line going across. You can follow along with me when I add details in a moment, or you can do whatever you want to make your house different from mine. I'm going to take a moment and pause from making my house to work on my snowman. I'm drawing actually a whole circle right there. That's going to be for his head. And then for the body, I'm going to draw part of a circle under that. And then the third part, I'm trying to make one bigger and bigger at the bottom. Now I'm going to add a little bit more details to my snowman. How about a hat? I'm going to draw kind of a horizontal line. It's a little slanted. I guess we could call it a diagonal. And then 2 short lines that go up, and then a connecting line to make a really skinny rectangle. And I'm coloring that in. Now, the reason we want to use a permanent marker is because it's permanent. It's going to stay on the paper when we add water to create our paint. I hope you're paying attention because I'm not really explaining what I'm drawing here, but just following along with your eyes, I bet you understand. I'm going to color in that top rectangle, and now let's add some more details. I think I'll add a couple of dots for eyes, maybe a carrot for the nose, a cute little smile perhaps, and then maybe some buttons down his belly. Then I think, oh wait, he needs like arms, stick arms, right? Once I've got that, then I think I might add some other details. Now I think I'm going to work on the part of the land behind the house called the background. So notice that I'm drawing in the back or behind my house and my snowman. That creates a background. To add even more background, maybe another snowy hill, I'm doing another line, and notice it's not straight, but kind of curved. Also notice that that line hopped over both my snowman and my house. Speaking of house, let's add some more details. Now I think I'm going to add some curved lines to the roof. That could either be snow, or maybe it's a gingerbread house, and that's the icing. You're the artist, so it's up to you. You could make a round window like me, or maybe a square window if you like. A zigzag line might be good to show icicles hanging from the roof. I really want to show that in my snow globe, it's very snowy and very cold. I'm using different shapes to add details to my house. Maybe a rectangle for one window. That makes it different than the other window, adding something called variety. Maybe a couple of curved lines to show that there's some snow snuggled up against the house. How about with a looping line creating some holiday lights? So maybe with my loop line at the bottom, I'm going to put a couple of dots in some random spots. I like that that rhymed. And now let's add the lights with kind of a teardrop shape. To show that the lights are on, maybe I'll add some short dashed lines to show that my holiday lights are lighting up my house. Now let's see, how about a chimney? 2 vertical lines that go up, a horizontal line to close it, a couple of verticals at the top that are short, and another horizontal line to close it. Did you know that whenever you want to draw anything in the world, you just have to think, what kind of line is that? And what kind of shape is that? Right now I'm using a curved line to create an organic shape for the smoke coming out of my chimney. Using some angled lines, I think I will add some mountains to the back. They look like triangles because I'm using 2 diagonal lines that are leaning toward each other. Maybe I could even, with a curved line, add a little bit of snow to the top of each mountain. Now you can draw whatever you want. I'm sure your drawing looks unique and amazing, just like you. If you have room and you want to add even more details, I say go for it. I'm using a triangle with 2 vertical lines to create a tree. To show the texture of the tree, I'm using some curved lines on the inside. Maybe I'll put another tree back here. Now it's in the background, so to show space in my artwork, I made that tree smaller so that it looked as though it were far, far away. My sky's looking a little bit empty, so with a straight line and curves at the top, I thought I would add a couple of clouds. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a snow globe unless we had some snow. There's lots of different ways to draw snow. Let's see, you could draw it with an X and a T through it. That symbol is called an asterisk, so you could draw a bunch of different asterisks around. Or you could get a little bit more fancy with your snowflakes by drawing your asterisk a little bit bigger. And once it's bigger, then you can start to add more details to it. Maybe some short lines at the end or a couple of polka dots. It's up to you. But it's a good idea to draw some snow that's big and some that's itty bitty and some that's medium sized because that shows variety. All right, when your drawing is finished, it's time for us to add color. When we add color, we are not using permanent markers. We're using your regular schmegular coloring markers. So go ahead, grab those, and there's 2 ways that you can go about adding color to your picture. One is going to be outlining, and the other is with dots. If you do 2 drawings, like I'm going to do, then you can do both. Okay, now that we have our washable markers, these are the markers that you color with. These are not permanent. We are ready to do our outlining. Now, I say outlining, but it's actually, I guess, inlining because we are going around the edges on the inside of our lines. Notice I'm drawing on the inside of my mountain right now, not the outside. I'm also not using the tip of the marker because if you use the tip of the marker, it will create a very thin line and I want a thick line. So I'm actually holding my marker so that the side touches the paper because the side of the marker makes a wide line. It's cool because it rhymes. The side of my marker makes a wide line. So using a variety of different colors, I'm now going around the inside edges of everything. Now, this step will take some time, and it's important that you think carefully about what colors you use so that you have some variety. Notice that I used a different color for some of my mountains so they weren't all of the same color. I'll also use a different color probably for my sky so it's not exactly the same as my snow. But I'm going slowly and carefully and making sure to use the side of my marker to make a wide line. Now, when you are outlining the tinitani stuff, like the details on your house or around the edges of your snowman, you might want to go ahead and use the tip of the marker. That way the line is skinny, or you don't even have to add color to it right now at all. You can always go back later when we're finished with our painting. If, let's say, you want to color something small like the nose of Frosty, your snowman, you could leave that until later. So I'm actually outlining the bigger shapes. If you don't want to try outlining, then why not try polka dots? That's right. So on your other drawing, if you do a bunch of these, which I certainly hope you do, go ahead and use polka dots. So I'm adding little dots, almost like snow, like snowflakes falling down, all over the landscape. So I want my mountains to be purple, so I'm giving it some purple dots, my land to be light blue, my sky to be light blue, and just adding a variety of dots, some little, some big, to all of those places where I want color to be. All right, once your drawing, either your outline or your polka dots are complete, it's time to try our hand at painting without any paint. So what I'm going to do is use just a cup of water and a nice fluffy paintbrush, and I'm just dipping it into the water, and then I'm painting on top of my marker lines and kind of bringing either the brush down or up. Pretend that the marker lines are your paint, because when you add water to them, that's what they become. And when you add water to them, if you kind of move that water towards the white areas, like I'm moving it towards the part of the house that I want to add color, then you'll see a little bit of a tint, a very light color. Now it's going to be very light at first, and that might be frustrating to you because you might think, I don't see anything happening. The magic happens when you just let the painting sit. So after you add the water and you move it toward the center, let your painting sit and dry, because then the colors will really start to brighten. I promise, because I'll tell you what, when I was painting mine, I thought the same thing. I thought, oh no, this magic trick isn't working. It just takes time for it to dry. It doesn't need more water, and it definitely doesn't mean that you need to scrub your paintbrush into your paper. That actually might put a hole in it. So just be patient. Make sure you paint on top of your marker lines, and say it with me, move the color toward the middle, and then set it to dry. It should take a while to dry, so when you pick up your artwork to set it somewhere to dry, make sure you carry it like you're carrying a tray of pizza that you definitely don't want to tilt because it'll slide and fall. So be very careful when you carry it, otherwise it might drip. All right, let's move on to adding a little bit of color to the polka dotted ones before we come back to see how this one looks when all of the paint is dry. So when we're painting this one, we're actually doing the same thing. Now, if it looks like I'm painting really fast, it is because I did speed up the video a little bit. So I am just painting on top of the color of the marker and then just spreading the color around. And again, it's going to look a little bit light or like the trick isn't quite working. It just needs time to sit with the water. Also, whenever you are switching to another area, you're switching to another color. So make sure you clean your brush really well, because if you don't, your colors might get mixed up. So notice I swished my paintbrush in my cup of water before moving on to the purple mountains. I wanted my sky to stay nice and bright and blue, and my mountains to stay nice and purple. So make sure you always clean your brush by swishing it around in the water a couple of times before painting in another area. When you do paint those smaller areas like the tree or the houses, you might want to get a smaller brush or hold your brush up on its tippy toes, because your paintbrush is like a ballerina. It's always on its tippy toes. It never ever scoots around on its bottom, because nobody wants to go to the booty scooty ballet. All right, now that our pieces have dried, look how colorful they are. They look amazing. It's now officially time to turn them into a snow globe. So grab a piece of construction paper that you think looks good with your snow globe, and here's what we're going to do. Scoot it to the bottom of your paper and use a pencil to trace just the bottom of the circle like this. Then you're going to put glue around the edges of your circle. Once you've got the glue, flip it over, then turn the whole paper over before you massage and count to 10. Now I'm going to draw 2 diagonal lines that go down to that curve, and I decided to trace over my lines with a permanent marker. This is the base of your snow globe. You can decorate it and color it any way you want to before you cut it out. When you cut it out, make sure you cut slowly around the edge of your circle so you don't cut off any of your snow globe. I can't wait to see all of the different designs that you come up with for your snow globe and how you choose to add color with your markers, whether it be with an outline or with some dots, and how exciting and fun you're going to make the base of your snow globe. Most of all, I hope you have fun. See you guys. Toodles!